Welcome to Land Academy. I'm Jack Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We show you how to buy real estate for half of what it's worth.
And sell it on the internet really fast.
We are Jack and Jill,
and this is the Jack and Jill Show too.
With over 15,000 completed transactions, we're the experts at acquiring property.
Of all kinds, not just land.
For half price and flipping them for way more.
All right, let's get this show started.
Jack Butala with Jill DeWit.
Happy Wednesday.
Welcome to our show today. In this episode, Jill and I talk about offers to owners and how it removes acquisition risk, no matter who you are. If you're buying apartment buildings, skyscrapers, rural land like we do, or house flips. Hey, before we get into it, Jill, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landacademy.com online community. It's free.
Okay. Mike asked, I have an opportunity to purchase 5-acre parcel in Colorado that shows power lines going across the back of the property. I know in general having electric nearby is good, but what about power lines running across part of the property, having having an electrical tower nearby? More desirable or less desirable? ?
Well, as always, this brings up a past deal that I've done. So I had this exact same question. In fact, you phrased it a lot better than I used to. Exact same question about a deal that I did in Southern California about 4 or 5 years ago. And it wasn't not just power lines going over it. It was the property under the large power lines that go from the plant, and bring the power into the city. And so I'm from Michigan, and in Michigan, that's all dead real estate. There's nothing under it. It's underutilized. I mean, it's not utilized. I don't even know who owns it, actually. Probably the city. And I'm not sure who maintains it. It might even be the power company. But in Colorado or west of the Mississippi, I found out, specifically recently when we moved halfway sort of to California, they use every square inch of property. So where we live, there's a property just like what I described under the power lines, and they use it as a nursery, to grow plants and stuff. So, so I bought a piece of property about 4 years ago, and not knowing any of this, and because it was so inexpensive, and it ended up selling for a ton of money at an auction. So, I mean, a ton. So there's some. My gut tells me yes. So it's way better to have electricity around than not. So in general, if I see any power lines, and if you're seeing power lines on Google Earth, chances are they're pretty big ones. It's good. Now, are there exceptions? Absolutely. But I really think that you should look at that as a positive attribute. If everything, as long as you can get to it and the whole thing. The other thing with power lines is that they have to be maintained. So there's probably roads being maintained. It's not bad. It's a real positive thing, Mike. Unless there's something glaringly wrong with it, I'd go forward.
Mm-hmm. I look at, too, most improvements can be considered an attribute in a lot of ways. There's something special, something different. We joke about, even if it's like a beat up shed or something out there, there's something on it. It's a little bit different, and that's not a bad thing. So
yeah,
cool.
Raw sewage, no.
Ah! Yeah.
We were talking about the EPA recently. It was you. We were standing Jill and I were recently, the holidays are over, and we were up at the top of the mountain, and she's like, I can't believe, when I was a kid, I can't believe how far you can see in Los Angeles. But when I was a kid, you couldn't see anything. It was
true.
Like before the EPA really kicked in the 70s,
right.
And before catalytic converters kicked in.
Right.
So I can't even imagine.
There's
4 times more people in this town than back then.
Yeah. And it was just this general haze, the smog. You could see it and you knew it every day. And it was great those times a year when the Santa Ana winds rolled through and it cleared it all up. And now it's like every day. I mean, that's what I love about it here. Being back here, every day I could see the mountains. I can see the snow on the San Bernardino Mountains right now. And it is just gorgeous.
Really is clear.
And I love it.
It's more clear than Arizona just because I think it's more breezy.
Mm-hmm.
You just get fresh air coming in all the time off the water.
Yep. If we stood on our roof and we had the right telescope, I bet we could see the Hollywood sign.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's pretty cool.
You can up from...
definitely Griffith Park and all that.
I mean, you can see all that stuff if you just go a couple miles from here and go up the hill.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. The people who say they don't like Los Angeles, I think what they really mean is they don't like driving in Los Angeles.
Yeah, nobody does.
Los Angeles itself is pretty cool.
It is. I agree.
There's a lot of good stuff going on here.
Yep.
For us, anyway.
Yep.
Buy that property, Mike. If you have a question or you want to be on the show, reach out to either one of us on landacademy.com. Today's show, Offers to Owners Removes Acquisition Risk. What the heck does that mean? So before we started this show, Jill said, what the heck does that mean? We almost never talk about the shows beforehand because, I think it's real good and healthy to answer each other's questions because we tend to go about things differently, which is good. But no, we had a long talk about this. Mm-hmm. And so what it means to me, or should we start with you?
No, go right ahead. Thanks.
Offers to Owners Removes Acquisition Risk. So I started in this business, if you read our free ebook, I started as a commercial real estate acquisition person for the healthcare industry. So buying existing assisted living facilities and long-term care hospitals or subacute hospitals. And so there's a real finite number of those around the country. And so I would send them offers. And I would send them offers for generally a basic price. So that removed, in my mind, a ton of the risk, right? If you're sending an offer to somebody, you know who the owner is. You're using data, right? You're using data in the mail to do all the work for you. You send them an offer for a basic price range in a commercial real estate case, and they're either going to crumple it up and throw it away, and that's fine. That's great. You tried. Now you're not wasting any time, their time or yours. Or if they call you back and say, this price range does work for me, or it doesn't, but we're just a little bit off. Now you got something to work with. Then you really take a good look at the asset and see if you want to buy it. So it really reduces all or most or all of the risk. So now let's convert that commercial type acquisition to houses. You send thousands of letters out to homeowners after you've scrubbed down the data, and it's a specific price. In a house's case, it's a price per square foot in a neighborhood where there's like-kind houses, and you base it off comparison values and the whole thing. We talk all about it all the time at Land Academy. And so the ones that come back, you already have a buyer in place, a flipper that wants to buy the price. Already said, or you've already done deals with that person, I want to buy these properties for X amount, between X and Y per square foot. And so your offers go out below that. You're removing all the risk. The two tools that you need to do this is quality data and a world-class printer to make this, to get it out of your life, to get these out. So you're not doing a lot of work with the data or the printing. You have access to it. You're letting them do the work, and you're letting the offers decide long before you ever waste any time on it if they want to sell the property for that amount. So it really removes a tremendous amount of acquisition risk. And how do I know this? Because I've done it all the wrong ways. You want to get up in the morning and go to work and look at your desk and look at 6 or 7 letters that came back that are signed offers. Mm-hmm. And so then you can really take a look. There's no risk in that.
No,
then don't do the deal.
Yeah, if you don't like it, move on.
Yeah, there's going to be 6 more tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
This is really how to do this after years and decades of experience. This is the way that works. Mm-hmm. So that's why we released or are releasing this product. So the Land Academy itself and the membership group, there's a lot of stuff involved. Most of the members are relatively new, or they've done a few deals, and they need some experience and some guidance. Offers to Owners is quite simply that, and every Land Academy member gets this as part of their package. Right, it's included in the price. Offers to Owners strips out all of that other stuff. So if you're an experienced real estate person, whether you're commercial or residential, or just want to do or are doing land deals, Offers to Owners is access to that data on a monthly basis and access to the printing that we figured out, customized printing for exactly what we do. So does that answer it?
Totally.
So is that what you think I meant by the show?
Yeah.
The show title?
Yeah. Well, no, it's perfect. You're right. I mean, move on. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me as far as removing the risk, because scale up your mailers, scale down your mailers. We have a lot of mailers that are a lot of members. I love it, who are coming into this business, and they they really do their homework. They think this through all the way through. And now they have this goal. And this comes up often on our weekly calls where they say, hey, Jack, I'm sure it does on your deal reviews too. Hey, Jack, I want $5,000 a month coming in. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do anything about it. and I want it to happen in 12 months or whatever, 6 months, whatever it is, dream it up. Can you help me with the numbers and work it backwards? And I love it. So as they sit and work it backwards, it comes down to how many offers am I sending out?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, Jill. We just did that on the last call. Somebody said, one of our senior members said, I want to make $100,000 a month in 2017. What do I have to do? And I backed it into the number because everything else is predictable. It's not a risk. We know that we can bank on 1%. 1% of the numbers of the offers, if you scrub the data properly, 1% of the people that receive those offers will sign them and send them back.
Right.
So now you have a predictable statistic to go on. The variables become more narrow, and it just becomes how many offers you send out.
Exactly.
And if you're equipped to actually manage the inbound calls. That's a lot of it. We don't talk a lot about that on the show, but you really have to have your stuff together.
That's true.
Before you get that stuff in the mail.
That's
so
true.
Offers to Owners is for the customer. For Offers to Owners is for somebody that's figured all that out already. They already have a real estate company, or they're doing it on the side already. They understand how to sell property, buy property, how to use a escrow agent, or when not to. Right. All that basic stuff that's kind of past them. Exactly. This is just access to the best tools in the industry.
Which they didn't know. For a lot of them, they didn't know existed.
Yeah, so
That's what I keep coming up against. People that go, what do you mean? What do you mean I don't have to go drive for dollars or search the MLS? The number of people that I meet every day that wake up early in the morning to see what popped in the MLS the night before because they want to grab that deal is staggering to me.
Insane.
And that is not what you should be doing.
People.
Right?
We should hold a live event for them.
Yeah.
Change their life.
Absolutely. It's insane.
If you're like a promoter and you're listening to this show,
we'll come talk. We'll help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jill and I decided a long time ago, we don't make, this is not a profit center for us.
Right.
We're trying to help people.
It's true.
Honestly, that's why we're here. So, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to me that it's the 21st century and, it's 2017 now. We're pretty far into this, and I just think there's a lot of bad information out there, and that's why we're here to talk about that. So we're here to help.
Yep.
Join us in another episode where Jack and Jill discuss how to use information, that's me,
and inspiration, that's me,
to get just about anything you want.
We use it every day to buy property for half of what it's worth and sell it immediately.
Not alone in your real estate ambition.
Some of our shows, like this one, they just come together. And, when you and I talked before this, like you brought it up and I loved it. I was really looking at this title going, isn't it a given? I thought, doesn't everybody have all the answers? No. Doesn't it make sense? But then, no, and as you and I talk about it more, I'm like, yeah, it really is. This was a good topic. Thank you for doing this show.
Oh, good, yeah.
It is worth talking about. Sometimes things that you and I take for granted, and it is a given, like there's no risk now, but you have to talk through it for people to understand it.
Yeah, you have a sales background, so people don't really realize this about acquisition people, but it's the same. They're held under the same monthly performance criteria that salespeople are. So that's how you need to look at acquisitions. I mean, if you don't source and buy X amount per month,
that's a good point.
So what you want to do then is line up all the tools that you can, or just same thing that a salesperson does. Line up all the tools, and so that you can hit that performance criteria and hit it right, so you can get promoted or whatever it is that your goal is.
Right.
It's tough.
Right.
For sales, there's a million places to get trained and all kinds of things you can do. Most of them are bad, but some of them are really good. Most of them are just
bad.
Like rah sessions.
Yeah.
That's silly. What you need is tools that can accomplish what you want. And but there's very few for acquisitions.
That's very true.
You and I have kicked around doing a professional acquisition thing for commercial real estate guys in the past.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people buy our product that are commercial real estate people.
Mm-hmm.
I can see where it's shipped.
Yep.
And I can see them using the data and the whole thing. And they're not real vocal in our group, but I know what's going on.
Exactly.
It's good.
Exactly. And you're right. I talk to our members about, how busy you want to be. We tell them, all right, let's start with 1,500. And then, you're not busy enough. All right, kick it up. Or if you're too busy, stay where you are and do it once a month or once a quarter, however busy you are. That's it. Takes, like you said, you get it into a system and there's no risk.
That's it. Well, there's some risk. There's a risk in everything, but
true.
Boy, we takes
this part of it out.
Yeah. I mean, we take the risk out. I think we said it in an earlier show. There's so much risk in starting a company, and so much money required and all kinds of stuff and time. We would dramatically reduce that in this whole thing,
Right.
and eliminate actually most of it.
You know what's interesting too? If I'm just the real estate agent person, or I'm just a house flipper, and I'm limited to my area of where I live, I might worry sometimes. Gosh, what if I'm not finding any deals right now? I'm gonna have to look in this area or that area. I don't know it very well. And I know people that have moved, in this world for jobs. People that you and I know, people that have taken on construction things or construction people, and they're not finding the right jobs, even in the Phoenix area. Remember our good friend driving to Texas and doing some commercial properties in Texas and commuting to Texas. I'm like, what the heck? That's crazy. We don't have those issues. It's so great.
If I was a commercial real estate agent and I was assigned a certain area, this happens a lot. I would say, all right, so now let's just picture it in your mind. You're assigned these 4 square miles of city, whatever, right? And so there's a finite number of people that own property in these 4 miles. I look at everything from a data standpoint. So there's a list, all right? There's a database of who owns property in those 4 square miles. I want every single name then. And I want to know what they own and all the stats on it. And I'm going to start sending correspondence. And it's probably going to go something like this. If I was just a real estate agent, not an acquisition person. John and Sally Smith, I'm the real estate agent in your neighborhood now. Then there's a new sheriff in town. And you might not want to sell your property today. You might not want to sell it 15 years from now. But I'm the real estate agent. And so periodically I'm going to send you some market updates or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm not salesy. I'm not trying to get you to do something you don't want, but at some point you're going to sell this asset, and I'd like you to think of me first. And then now you have a 4. So this is what I did.
Brilliant.
This is what I did with healthcare, with these healthcare facilities, because there were probably 15,000 units, about 11,000 at the time, units that fit our acquisition criteria, and that's what I did, and it worked.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant.
Some of them wanted to sell that day. Some of them said, next year we're really actually going to sit down and plan the disposition of this thing. And so then they called us. So I had a lot of inbound phone messages. There are other people in my office that were doing the same thing, a lot older than me, and coming over and saying, how the hell did you generate this kind of inbound traffic, both in the mail and I said, yeah, that's great. If you've ever been in a real estate office, I was a commercial real estate broker. You're very competitive. It's not like sales is like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, that's hilarious if you think I'm going to tell you anything. Sit your old ass down back in your office and get on the phone, open the phone book and make some more calls.
That's right. I'll be over here.
I was not there for
taking
very
an
long.
early lunch.
did not work there for very long. I figured it out pretty fast
said, I'm out of here. Now I'm taking my thing and leaving.
I've always wanted to be a private investor, and that's what that led to.
Yeah. You did it.
I did. That's pretty funny. For me, even. Information and inspiration to buy undervalued property.
We are Jack and Jill, and this was the Cash Flow from Land Show.
We are the experts at acquiring property
of all kinds, not just land.
For half price, just so we can flip it for way more.
And really fast. Thanks for listening. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.